this moment to come together, to be here in the present as we gather. And may we leave this evening with love, with open hearts and an open mind. And anyone that couldn't be here, may they be here in spirit. And I just want to take this moment to express gratitude for each and everyone being here today, showing up for themselves with, the intention to start this year on, such a beautiful note as we gather here today to learn and to grow and expand and, just to make this world and our lives a better place. And may we always continue leading with love and just be guided with an open heart and open mind. Amen.
That's beautiful. Thank you. All right.
Just like this.
So thank you, all of you, for here, present. I know this is the last weekend of right after New Year, so a lot of people are still traveling, other people are just resting from all the holidays, because it is tiring, right? So many things that we have to do. And we usually don't open the Spirit Center at the very first weekend of January because not a lot of people are here. So that's why we had in mind of doing something a little different because we expected that not a lot of people would show up. But we were wrong. The door was packed yesterday. I was like, wow. We had like 35 people, and usually that's our average. And so we expected it would be like, just like, as smaller, sort of like a Monday, and it wasn't. So I think a lot of people didn't go anywhere and was actually missing the center too. So it was nice. Yeah. Okay, but so it's good to be back, right? To be present in our Spirit Center, because this place is just our space of learning, reflection, and just, to feel welcome. So good to be back. So I chose this theme, 2026, a year of sincere effort, because I think it speaks directly to us on our daily lives, especially when we have a new year beginning. Like when a new year begins, we're always thinking of what I'm going to do for 2026, what are my goals and these resolutions that we always have in mind, right? And I want to start with this quote: do not go outside yourself, return within yourself. Truth dwells in the inner man. So in here, St. Augustine is telling us not to go outside of ourselves, but to actually go within. And this is a very profound quote to me, because it's very often in times we really look for things to work outside instead of to do the work within ourselves. So it's just this human tendency that we're going to look externally instead of looking inside, right? So the conversation today is not about great transformations that we want to do, but it's actually about a small, intimate, silence, quiet, this inner, this journey that we're just going to make towards ourselves, towards our inner self, just to make between us. And I don't know if you guys ever heard of St. Augustine. He has a lot of passages in the Gospel, and one of them really sticks out, and that's where this quote comes from, because of course he's an evolved spirit. He's not incarnated here anymore for a long time. And one of the things that was asked him, it was like, how did you evolve? What do you think mostly helped you evolve while you were living on Earth? So this was a question made to him. And then he said, the explanation, it's a couple pages and all, but one thing that he said was I think one thing that really, truly helped me, it was this self-analysis that I used to do it of myself. And he said, so we're talking about St. Augustine, meaning that we are probably not going to do it this often, but he said that he did it weekly, this self-analysis of himself, where he would just say things that he could have done better and things that he did okay. And then he would just analyze his own actions so he could improve the next day. So that was his method to help himself to evolve. And that's where this quote comes from. And I thought that I would just bring this idea to us at the start of this 2026. But before we think of 2026, which is ahead of us, let's just take a step back and think of 2025, but not in the sense of analyzing or criticizing what we have done. So we do have to have this view of what we've done, like in the past, but with honesty, but also with kindness, right? So when we say to ourselves, what did I do well in 2025? We're not talking about, again, like enormous things, these missions and all these accomplishments. We are just speaking about like small gestures. When were you able to have a moment of patience? When were you like the right time to be in silence or to make an effort that perhaps nobody even noticed? And then when you think of what could have done better, again, is not to look at it with a lens of criticizing ourselves and just thinking that we didn't do good. It's instead for us to look at it in a sense of like, what can I do? Where do I still need to work? Where do I still need to put more effort?
Like
Keep consistency. Yeah. What did you say?
Self-improvement?
Yeah, self-improvement. So like which other areas that I still need to improve, that I need to put more effort, that I need to keep a consistency and put more love. So and that's what Spiritism actually brings us. Just this idea of that's what we need to do. Just self-reflect, be sincere, and not be like merciless with ourselves, right? Because we are just evolving. So, that goes away. So because of that, and because it worked for St. Augustine, so it might work for us too, if we do it, right? So I want to give you guys 5 minutes to work on this activity, and perhaps that will become a habit of yours. This is not the first time I hear about this quote, and it has not become my habit yet. However, I do have to confess that last year, I was like, okay, I always forget to do these things. I'm going to write it on my phone. So I made, like a note on my phone, and it was like I had to read. So that was one of my resolutions, and like to remind me. So I was logging all the books that I read, and I had a goal. So it was good because it was constantly reminding me. But it was also created a lot of anxiety because I'm like, I'm not meeting my goal. Oh my goodness, So a lot of times I wanted to delete the note. And so everyone can do it different. But what I will like to guys to do is, it's really, this is a self-analysis of yourself. And don't worry, you're not going to share it. We're not going to read it together. It's just yours and for you. So you can write it in here and then save it. And maybe next year or a few months from now, you just want to look at it and analyze yourself and see what you have done and how much you have grown into what you want for you. And 2 more here. All right, so you guys can finish it at home.
I'm done.
Just keep it for you. Like I said, we're not sharing. That's your own self-analysis of where you want to be, where you want to go. But it's a good habit for us to have, right? Because nobody needs to analyze us, just ourselves. And that needs to grow. Okay, so let's see. What are your resolutions? So I asked my husband, he said he didn't have any, but I'm sure most of us do have resolution for 2026. So what do you guys can think of? What are your resolutions?
Please return the pins.
What's your resolutions? What do you guys have? Remember, if you guys don't talk to little Alexis.
Getting super fit.
Getting super fit. What else? Huh? Pay your bills.
That's what I'm thinking. But you know what? Yeah, I
Oh,
think
you
it's
know
better.
what?
Yeah.
Also, like
Yes.
being able to contribute to causes I care more about, whether it's like volunteering for animal shelters or things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a Humane Society foster.
Really?
I'll tell you about it later.
Oh, that's awesome.
What else? Does anyone else has a resolution, things that they think for 2026 that you want to conquer or have?
Oh yeah.
Yes?
I do.
What do you have, Bella?
Oh, I have to share? It's a secret.
No, just
No,
like what? Tell me
what
what
are your
resolutions. So she wants
resolutions?
to get fit. She wants to start volunteering at shelters.
Okay, well, my resolution is to, keep going what I was doing at, what I started last year, which, to better myself, not only physically, mentally, spiritually, but mainly physically speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as you said,
Yeah.
start, because
There you go.
and also more effort for my new business. So
Awesome. Okay. So resolutions. So when we talk about resolutions, of course, we all have different ones, right, that fit in our lives and what we want to do. But there are some that are very common among us that usually comes up when we ask about resolutions. So let's just look at some of them. So be more patient in traffic. Or just be more patient. So, and be more patient. Take better care of your health. So Leah just said that, you just said that, you just said that. So stop judging. Sometimes we judge more than we realize. Control anger. So sometimes it's not anger, but maybe it's a different emotion that you don't have control of.
let me stop you one second. There's one thing that I that's a big one. That's big resolution right now is to learn not to give my opinion of everything and for everybody. Because let me tell you something.
Ella likes that one.
Because let me tell you something. I put myself in trouble because I was telling the truth, and actually I was right, but it doesn't matter if I'm right or not. I gotta even my husband said, why you have to open your mouth? But I was like, you know what? Now I need to learn, so just don't say anything. Just, sometimes it wasn't the right time, the right moment, and I'm always like that. So I really need to control myself.
You know what's
about
funny? That I told my husband yesterday that one of my resolutions is to speak less.
You heard that?
I want to just be quieter.
Yeah.
So we're together,
There you go.
Bella.
Yep.
I told Marcia, and then Marcia was like, "That's a great one." I'm like,
Ah, I know. It's something that I was like,
He was like,
why?
"That's a
What am
great
I
one."
proving here,
This is a
Seriously.
big challenge.
No,
Very
it is.
difficult.
It is.
It's a jinx,
And it's serious because I am not put myself in trouble, but affected for a very long relationship. Yeah. Friendship and relationship.
I know.
Yeah. Because I tell the truth.
There we go. Be more grateful. So if you guys notice how deep down when we look at these resolutions and others, we are talking about resolution for our inner world. Even when we don't realize, deep down inside, we know where we need to improve and what in ourselves that needs some work. And that's usually around our resolution. So we know, even though we don't actually express it, but we do have this instinct of just knowing where we need to work. So then are these resolutions that we're talking about New Year's resolutions, or they can also be spiritual exercises?
Absolutely, spiritual exercise. In
So
my
this
case.
question then is central to the entire reflection that we are going to do tonight. Because many times, resolutions are just lists that we write on December 31st, and then by January 15th, we forgot them, right? So we just write the list and then goes away. Sometimes people will hang on to it for a couple months, but usually by mid-January, we already forgot our resolutions.
It's like going to the gym, right?
Yeah.
January, February, that's it.
Start someone.
By Valentine's Day,
Then we stop.
Yeah.
So when we look at these things through like the spiritual perspective, that's when we realize that what we call resolution is indeed a spiritual exercise. That's what we're actually doing. And what is an exercise, a spiritual exercise in general? So when we're talking about exercise, implies effort, implies failing, and implies starting again, right? Because it's an exercise, it's a repetition, it's a process. We don't really do exercise once and we are done. So when we're talking about a spiritual exercise, it has this implied that we're gonna do repetitions, we're gonna fall, we're gonna start again. So keeping that in mind, then we ask, why is it so difficult to change?
Programming.
We're so used to the same patterns all the time. I think what you had listed of controlling anger, for example, or controlling our habits, we're so used to doing them that we have to reprogram ourselves to go back and retrain our brains to think differently, and that's the hard part. But I think if we, how you said that we have to look inside, or what St. Augustine said of look within rather than outside, that's where we find the root of everything, like why we have anger issues, or why we're impatient, or why, I don't know, we're afraid of things. Like everything is within us, and that's why it's hard, because it's so ingrained in us. But we have to have the courage to look within to be able to change that.
To observe it and change it. Yeah. What else? Why else you guys think is hard to change? Is anyone here is able to change it very quickly, or is that some work
Because
that
you
we
need to
do?
know thyself.
We need to know ourselves.
I think also another big one too that this is something that I personally deal with clients outside of like the programming. It's also the fear of the unknown, or like the fear that if I change, that I have to change all of me, or
That's
like it's like I'm
true.
losing a part of myself,
Yeah,
even
that's
if it's
true.
not good for me.
That is true though. So like Thais said, that change, it's hard because it's like habits that we have. And then it's also many times very rooted into the spirit. And we always start with a lot of enthusiasm. And then when we realize that the process is long, silent, requires daily effort, then we kind of give up. Then we're like, this is way more work than I thought of. So you get discouraged, and then you let go, because change is not just I'm going to change, that's it, and then you change. So there's all this process to follow, and we just get discouraged through the process because it's not like a short process, right? And also sometimes when we make mistakes, we just go like, I'm not able to do this. Never mind, forget it. What is the point of keep on trying? I can never really do it anyways, and I'm just too weak, or I don't have enough effort in me to do it. And it doesn't really mean that we don't have the capability of doing it. We do, but a lot of times we just don't choose the right process for ourselves. We put a lot of pressure and not much comprehension of who we are. So we just expect a lot of ourselves, and not give us like, okay, that's okay, do it again, get up, we're gonna get there. So we just put a lot of self-pressure and too little of self-understanding of the process. So that makes us think that we are not able to change, or not, doesn't have all the abilities that it needs to. So let's look at some concepts of Spiritism that will help us understand a little more why is it so hard to change. So when we look at reincarnation, that we all been studying for so long, we know that we don't change everything in a single lifetime. So why we think that we can change it in a year? Why would we be able to change something in a year if God has planned for us that our evolution takes reincarnations? So this is a long process. It's just natural. We are embedded into this process that God set up for us. So when we think that, I'm going to change it in a year, that's naive. And of course, we're talking about different change. There are things that we can accomplish, right? Within a year, within a month, or whatever. So we're talking about inside change, habit change, rooted change like this that we can talk about. And the law of progress. And we know that progress is not like linear. It's gradual. What does that mean? The progress is like this. So there's not always I'm going to change and you're just going to keep afloat and go all the way, boom, got it. No, it's going to be like repetition, failing, getting up again. Okay, let me try this way now. So, and that's part of the evolution of our spirit, is to be under this law of progress. In the spiritual scale, of course, we know that we have imperfect spirits, and then the good ones, and then the pure ones. So we are not pure ones. Of course, we're not going to be able to, poof, just change. And we do have to go through this. So in our planet right now, we are just about leaving the imperfect and just about to enter the good spirits. So it's a process. We have to go through it. And self-forgiveness, like I just said, God does not demand immediate perfection, but we do. We demand a lot of times on ourselves immediate perfection, and we do demand on others as well. So if we understand that this is what Spiritism teaches us, and this is the divine law, then we're going to be a little more clarified in why is it so difficult to change, because it takes time, right? So the spiritual plane does not expect ready-made saints, but they do expect spirits willing to try. That's all they ask of us, willing to try. So more important than we ask, what do I want to achieve in 26? How about if we ask, what kind of a spirit am I trying to become? So that changes the questions. And if we're saying that resolutions are a spiritual exercise, then this way of asking it makes more sense, right? So in other words, there's no like a division of like the new year and the old year. So evolution of the spirit is something continuous, it's continuity. So for the spirit, there is a process of repetition and attempts, like we said before. So it's not like there's a new year, now we're going to change. No, it's just this continuous process that it goes through. And God does not expect resolutions. He expects sincere effort. So this is kind of repeating a little bit of the previous slide, but are a really important concept for us to have. Because we need to take these daily opportunities to repeat an effort. So we try a little better today so we can learn what it didn't work before. That's part of the process. And and sometimes yesterday, my husband, Larry is going to remember this, it's like, we can change when we have the opportunities in life. But there are not a lot of opportunities. Well, what do you mean there are not a lot of opportunities? We have opportunities all the time to change, to improve on some things. And then we started talking about this because like, well, you have to wait for life to bring you that opportunity. I'm like, it's already here. 24/7, all the opportunities. So it's a daily opportunity for us to actually make a sincere effort to change. All right, so we just have a few more slides here, and this ones we can talk more into. So when we talk about resolutions, of course, we have many of them, like we already mentioned, but let's focus on 4 that are usually the ones that everyone wants to achieve. Being more patient. Who wants to be more patient?
What? Why are you looking at me? I'm very patient. Very.
As long as you don't irritate her.
I
Yes,
know, as
that's-
long
that's-
as I
Thank
know.
you, Chris. Deep as that.
It's just so everyone wants to be
No, I
patient, right? And okay, so then when do you think when you think about being more patient, what comes in mind? What do you mean by I know you want to be more patient, but what comes in your mind? What does that mean to you, being more patient? Not have irritation, okay?
No, having irritation.
No,
Being more
but you
patient.
wanna be
Yeah, because when I
more
was-
patient.
I
So what do
remember
you
how
wanna have?
many irritations I have, and it's like I need to be like
To control.
working more and be more like oh my gosh, what do you say? More effort. You have to do it on yourselves, like
How do you envision yourself being more patient?
I already am. So no, I
Be more patient with the kids.
With the kids?
with the kids. Yeah.
I think if you can put yourself in their position and understand, a lot of times we approach situations from our ego. And so when somebody has cut you off, when somebody said something rude to you, your ego is hurt. And so, and then you're not patient with that. Like this is, I'll give you a funny story. Yesterday I saw a patient, and I was seeing this baby with this mom, and this little boy, oh my gosh, he was being so difficult with his mother. He was 2.5 years old, and she's trying to talk to me through an interpreter. It was a different language, Pashto. So we're trying to use it wasn't just Spanish where I could speak it. It was Pashto. So we're trying to go through the interpreter. This boy was doing everything. I mean, he was just, there was a dirty diaper that we couldn't put in the trash, and he kept trying to throw it in the trash, and then she'd throw it in the trash. She'd take it out of the trash then she'd put it in the sink, and he turns on the water, and then he's pushing the buttons and turning the computer off as I'm talking to the translator, and so she's
was
sitting
like
here,
everywhere.
everything. And I was just laughing. I mean, I thought it was hilarious, and I was not upset because he was bored, and so then
2.5.
he's 2.5,
Absolutely,
and so
yeah.
then I was just playing. I took a hat and I started like putting this baby hat on him, and he's looking at me like, "Who are you?" But then at least it distracted him, so then the translator could talk. But it was I was able to. Now she was getting frustrated. I said, no. I said, it's okay. It's just a little boy, and he's just being silly,
Yeah.
And yes, the visit took twice as long. Okay, and I started running a little bit behind, but I could see it from his standpoint. He's bored,
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
so it didn't bother me. It was kind of funny, but and so the whole event turned. But it could have been the opposite. I could have been like, why did you bring your child?
Totally.
Why did you bring your child? You're taking so much time. Mike, you're making me spend so much more time.
Yeah.
So when we approach the situation, try to do it in a loving way if you can, or to see where it's coming from, rather than our ego, because that's what it is. A lot of times it's, why is this affecting me? Why is it, then maybe
That's
that
a
will.
great point, Pat, actually. It's a great point. Anyone else?
So I have to have less expectation
Less
from
expectations?
people and
Okay.
some situation.
I think it's not only understanding the other, but it's also understanding yourself too. Like why you are impatient. Like why is that triggering to you?
Yeah.
And that goes back to knowing yourself and knowing your triggers and what causes you to become irritated,
Yeah.
and that makes you look inside and be like, okay, I need to get better at this. Like, why is this happening? What's the root cause of that?
Yeah.
And you know that you said that, and I think if we do get into the habit of doing like writing down the self-analysis, we're going to be able to pinpoint a lot of times, every time this happens, look at what I act again and again and again. So you kind of get to know your own triggers.
May I ask a
you know?
quick question here? Okay, talking about patience, be patient with patience, patience and kinds. But I have something that is really kind of, as you said, kind of irritated me. Like, no, literally, I'm very patient. Seriously, I am. I do my best, okay? Because as Dr. Pat said, I try to see, I put myself in the other shoes, like. But tell me, one thing that really get on me, irritates me so much is negative person. But I'm not saying just be negative. Like, I mean, all the time, because I had 2 cases there that I was so frustrated. I mean, this patient, she took all my patients, she took everything. I mean, the point that I didn't even want her in my schedule. I asked for my supervisor to take, but at the same time, for some reason, the 3 weeks she stays there, she was all on my schedule. So I have a question. What do you do with people like that? Because, okay, I understand where she's coming from. She's coming from a lot of trauma, a lot of things, blah, blah, but I pray. I do my prayer every time I get in my room. I do my prayer, yada, yada, I do my things, but it's a lot,
So Bella, look, usually we associate patience with to others. Patience with others. I'm gonna be patient to wait until this situation improves, or I'm gonna wait. I want to be patient so the problems disappear. But what are we really learning with this, especially the quote, is that patience is not outside. It's not on anyone. It's within. So it's you who controls. It's not the external situation. This patient that triggers off, or that little boy that triggers off.
True.
So that 2.5-year-old could have driven you crazy, or myself crazy, but it didn't drive her crazy because that
Absolutely.
type of beast she already has it
No.
inside. you know. And then we're not talking about, so that means that Pat is patient about everything. There will be triggers, there will be things that she won't be and I will be, but it's really not external. There's nothing we can do about that person.
So
It's
that's
like
why I
it's
tried to
here.
switch the things, and then I was like, okay, what is going on? You gotta tell me, because everything that I'm doing here, I'm talking to you, yada yada, and it's part of the procedure to make it, you know. But anyways, and I had it, and then I'm like very patient. I was like, okay, you know what? What's going on? You gotta tell me,
And
because
she's gonna like, what do you mean?
yeah. But then she started crying.
But yeah, exactly, because we don't wait others to change.
No, absolutely.
We change. And then there's nothing that will phase you. So other question here. Who here has already gotten irritated over something that later on was not worth it? Right? So many times we become irritated with little things. Things that would just pass quickly, but then it made a dent. It made a dent in us, it made a dent in somebody. Because we just get so irritated, and then we do realize why we do that. We do that a lot. It's just, us. Who here has managed to be patient in a difficult situation? Like in a difficult situation, you actually did it. Like, I did not lose it.
Yeah.
Has anyone maybe been able to do that once or more than once? How did it feel?
Good.
That specific case, you know.
It's hard at the time, but at the end it's good.
Yeah. What is good? What did you feel, Grazi, when you actually were able to manage? Like, what kind of feelings it gave you?
A good person, you feel good to yourself, you can achieve better stuff for yourself. It's like, I got it. So I'm glad I did it. I don't got engaged into something like it's not good for me.
You feel that you realize that you raised yourself above the chaos. The chaos is going here, and you were able to detach and just observe it, but not get drawn into it. And then because you did that, you realize after, hey, that was nice that I was able to
You can
observe.
could do that at that time.
You could separate, see what's going on, and say, okay.
It's the exercise.
Yeah.
So it kind of changes the whole atmosphere, but especially changes us, right?
Yeah.
It just keeps us like, look at this chaos. I don't really feel it because that's what we conquered it inside. So it changes the atmosphere all around, but especially within us.
Yeah.
And we're not saying that we can never get irritated. Remember that we're still in evolution. Of course it's going to happen. But what we need to work on is to pause and kind of analyze the situation and react a little better, a little different, and not like completely lose control of it. It's recognizing our triggers. Okay, this is really going to set me off. But then you kind of pause and like, okay, how can I just have a little bit of control here and respond to this in a better way? So this is the effort. That's the effort. All right, taking better care of our health. Everyone, I heard it from many of you that that's one of the resolutions here. So how and why should we take care of our health?
Eat less junk.
Eat less junk.
Sleep well.
Sleep well.
Live better.
And plus, we need our physical body in a good shape so our spirits can, accomplish what we have to
That's
do.
why, huh?
Right?
Yeah.
That's why.
So it's not just like avoiding diseases, but it's actually taking care of us. Good, like nutrition, exercise, take care of our mental health. Go to the doctor when we need to.
Sleep.
Because sometimes we need to go and we don't. Not women, usually guys. Wait. Like take care,
What?
Take care of yourself.
How many guys have to
Why I go to the doctor? I have no problem.
But if the wife says you do, believe it and go to the doctor.
My husband always said, why you always try to find something wrong with me? I was like, that's precaution. So that you have to do like once a year. I could just check her blood for God's sake.
Last week I threw a little thing in here. I said, I pressed it here. You have to go to the doctor. The next day was good.
We don't need to be hypochondriacs, but we do need to take care our body this ways, and also to look for help when we need to. And why? Because of what just Bella said. Our bodies are instrument of our evolution. So it is through this body that we're going to live, that we relate to others, that we learn, that we evolve. If we don't take care of it, we don't have the instruments that we need. Have you noticed how fatigue or stress influences your reactions and attitudes?
100%.
Yeah. So have you just if our bodies are exhausted, overwhelmed, of course we're going to be more irritated. We're going to have less patience. We are going to lose the self-control in an easier manner than we would have otherwise. We fall more easy into excess, into unbalance, right? When our bodies screams at us and then we just can't do the same thing. And then in other words, if this is an instrument and is not working properly, our learning becomes compromised because we need it to just be working well. Is taking care of health also a spiritual effort?
Absolutely.
Very, because there's nothing better than coxinha, pastel, I just said about Brazilian junk food.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing better. So it is a very big effort to actually take care of us, right? So taking care of our health, we're not talking about just the physical health, right? It's not just that. The appearance is an attitude of respect to the life that God gave us. Okay? So when we take care of our body because we want it to live all that it's supposed to, and then to be this good instrument so we can go through our experiences and count on our bodies, that's a spiritual responsibility that we assume when we get this body from God. So it is our responsibility, and it's an act of responsibility that we show when we take care of. It makes me really sad, and I have a handful of people that I can think of that sometimes I look at them and I'm like, what did you do? What did you do to you? You weren't born like this. Your body was healthy, it was beautiful, and you see people that are completely train wrecks, health-wise.
And young.
So many things that could have been avoided. So many things that could have been prevented. So what is, that we have to realize this. And when we watch Nosso Lar, we see how André Luiz got into the umbral, calling them a suicide, and he actually did because he took so bad care of his body that he died before time. Before he actually had it.
Also for the health, I think the mental health too, or how you feed your body with what you consume, not just food wise, but also media, and if you're watching hateful things a lot, or things that are negative, and even if you're just doom scrolling on the thing, sometimes people will make comments, negative comments on the whatever social media, and then you get trapped into it, and and this person said negative thing, and negative, even if you don't comment in it, that's just not healthy for your brain either, and so that's important too, I think.
And that's so true, because when we scroll through social media, we're gonna find so many different opinions.
Yeah.
And I've gone through that too, where I read something, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna respond to this. And then I'm like, no, I'm not going to respond to this. I don't even know who this person is.
No.
Right. They think this way, I'm not gonna change their mind. And then, what made me change my mind of responding? Because then I clicked on the comments and I read awful things. And I'm like, I'm not going to be part of this group of just being sending this bad energy. And so now I don't comment anything, nothing.
Never comment.
I was like,
unless
no.
it's something funny.
Something cute, something positive. But I just
that's
don't.
even better. That's even better. That's good. That's good.
And emotional self-control, we all lose it sometimes, don't you? Some people lose it more than others, but I think generally we all lose it sometimes. So who has worried too much about something that hadn't even happened?
Mothers. Right?
You put yourself through it more than once. That's the problem.
Yes. So who has worried so much about something that didn't even happen yet? Right? Almost all of us, right?
My brother called me yesterday.
Uh,
He's leaving Spain, and he's so preoccupation about the governor, the Trump go to Venezuela. He called to me. He said, "Well, I looking on my phone. So what was it going on? My brother called me this time. And
Then you get
Spain
it
is
from
the
Spain,
middle
yeah.
of the night, you know." I said, "Hi, my brother. Are you?" "No. Hi, my sister. I read the Bible now. This is
So
apocalypse. This is apocalypse. This is the
so
Bible.
worried.
This is your government. Go now. The China. He's saying that disappear,
preoccupied.
anticipation." I listen him say, "Well, don't worry. I think this will be okay. God
Yeah,
don't
when
permit you
allowed,
nothing.
yeah,
This is
exactly.
necessary for some reason.
There's
Don't
some,
worry.
yeah.
Not this time apocalypse came."
Yeah.
But I didn't even know any of it either. I'm like
Yeah.
Sergio. We didn't know anything. We're like,
Yeah.
what? What's
But
happening?
he's so it's the middle of the night. He don't sleep. He's
Right,
Wow.
but that's what I'm
No,
saying.
this is like
Yeah.
we
So
all
you say-
do this, right? We all do it sometimes with bigger things, with smaller things.
Yes.
There is no like how to measure it because we all different. Something that's huge to me is nothing to you, and vice versa. But we are very good as humans to just suffer in advance, to create scenarios, to just live what if this happens and blah blah blah. And then we just worry so much and spend so much energy in something that would never even happen. And this is very human. It's not a weakness. It just really shows us how our mind lives ahead of life sometimes.
It's like when you say preoccupied. So the word says it all. So preoccupied in your mind, you're saying, you know, for something you even, yeah.
Yeah. And what happens when negative emotions control us?
You become your emotions.
Yeah, you lose clarity, balance. You just kind of lose this inner peace because everything kind of takes over you. And what is the benefits that we would gain if we control this emotion? So we already said that, right? So we will just like be more tranquil. It will just help us to make more conscious decisions and reactions and choices. So basically, it will just help us to maintain serenity through the life trials. There's no way we're just gonna have a life that is free of everything.
I also think going back that your emotions, going back to like that self-awareness, why are you being triggered? Why are you having that negative emotion? Where does that come from inside of you that triggered you? And then if you can feel that or try to figure this out, then you can move on. Like you let it go through you and then you move on and you don't dwell on it anymore.
Yeah.
Rather than necessarily suppressing it, and not that you were saying that necessarily, but you know, I think identifying it is good, not to suppress the emotion, to recognize the emotion, maybe think, oh, I had that emotion, and then let it go, rather than, because if you suppress it, the anger of something, then it festers inside you.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not just the control is important when that emotion is going to explode and hurt
Right,
somebody and
Yeah,
cause
yeah.
consequences. But it's just as important for us to realize what made that happen, what is inside of you that created that emotion to be so grand. And this is our last slide. Being a better person. Everyone wants to be a better person, right? So what does it mean to be a better person? What is it? Because sometimes we say things but we don't reflect on it.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think it just means to be the best version of yourself.
Authentic.
Authentic. Yeah. What else? A good person.
Bella.
I think loving. I think that our nature is loving.
Yeah.
I think our spiritual nature is loving, and we come here and it's beaten out of us. And then to go back and realize we're by nature loving spirits.
And you know, this particular question reminded me of a chapter in our gospel, the one that is Be Perfect, I think it's called, in English, Sed Perfectus. So what does it say? It's asking Allan Kardec, like, how do you define a good person? And the answer is the spirit that is trying to control their bad tendencies and to putting effort in becoming a better person. So that's the definition of a good person. It's the person who is trying to control the bad tendencies that we all have. So I thought that was like a very good understanding definition.
Yeah.
And we have a whole chapter in the gospel, according to Spiritism, explaining that. So that's the answer. So being a better person, does that mean to be perfect? It doesn't mean to be perfect, right? It's about trying every day, little, being more conscious about what we do, trying to do today better than we did yesterday. So in Spiritism, what we learned about being better is that it's not like we're never going to make a mistake. That's just part of our process. There is no way we're just never going to make a mistake, right? So it just means being sincere about this effort to improve. I know I'm making mistakes, but you know what? I really want to be better and not make it so often. And then one day completely stop of making this mistake. It's just having this compassionate look to ourselves, and then of course to others as well, because when we learn how to do that to us, we also apply to others, right? Because what is the golden rule? Do to others what we would like done to you. So, and then it's just that we don't cultivate this excessive guilt that sometimes we carry, but also that we don't give up. We just keep working on the process. So why try to improve? Can we just be left alone the way we are and let reincarnation take care of it? I'll come back next life. So I'm not really gonna try to improve. So what happens when we improve? We already said that, right, in the previous slide, that we just start to understand more things. We're gonna hurt less, we're gonna forgive more, we're gonna understand more. So life just becomes lighter, even in a planet where we all still learning, perfect. Sometimes, see so many bad things around us. It doesn't mean that we have to be pure and perfect to be happy. We can already be happy here. And this is like when we're improving, we automatically conquering a little bit more of this happiness that's already here. It's around us, right? And it's not, again, like this huge changes. It's just this small little change that we make in us, that we already see the improvement at work, at home, in our relationships. So everything kind of becomes better when we do try to improve. And the last one there, what can you do today to become a better person? Tonight. What can you do to become a better person?
One of my favorite things to say is bringing attention to intention. So any little moments where you can find that opportunity to bring more attention to an intention that you're putting into an interaction with a person or something that you're doing.
That's beautiful. So today is not about changing everything. It's about choosing a little something that is possible for us to improve. So through the improvement, eventually it will be changed. So it's like, take a possible effort. Don't put like, my resolution for 2026 is that I'm not gonna lose my patience once. That's not possible. So pick like the efforts that we can actually achieve is more possible. But pick something that we can do, right? So what would be like small things? Pausing before acting. So just like, even if we don't act right, but just the fact that we made that little pause, that's the first step. Maybe next time I'm going to go a little further, and maybe next time I'm going to control that act, but just pause and not go so impulsive and just do it. Treating someone with more kindness, especially those challenged ones, just a little bit more kindness if we can, right? having more patience with ourselves. We are hard on ourselves, especially Virgos, perfectionists.
So
Doing the good that's within our reach. Sometimes, okay, my resolution is to open a animal shelter. Is that within your reach? How about if you just volunteer at a shelter? Start there. And then maybe one day you can have your own shelter. And basically ending the day with conscious. Because I think we are very good at living and not even realizing that we are. So just living with conscious. And that is the self-analysis of self-esteem. When we ended the day with conscious, that means that we gave some thoughts about what we did and how our day was and how we reacted to things. So, and basically, spiritual progress happens when we choose today, not tomorrow, but today, to act a little better than yesterday. That's the goal. And then we can all read this last quote. Bella, it is not about, you guys already talked too much.
okay, yeah,
Read it.
okay. It's not about perfection. It's about goodwill, learning, and consistency. Then 2026 can truly be a year of sincere effort.
So May 2026, for all of us, not to be a year of self-demand, right? But a year of just understanding, of like kindness, of learning the small little achievements. And then eventually we get there. So we can form this greater own conscious that we need to have. So maybe leave here tonight just with this feeling a little more encouraged to keep on going, to never give up, and most importantly, to trust the process of the spiritual evolution. It will just happen to all of us. We do have to do our part, so we don't have to be crazy hard on ourselves. We also don't need to be a complete slackers and think that reincarnation is going to take care of everything. But just when we think of resolution that we've been making them for so many years, maybe 2026, we're going to give like a different attention to it and think more of, oh, this resolution is actually a spiritual exercise for me. So I'm going to start looking within myself and making myself better this way and others with patience and with kindness.
Thank you, Grace. Very good.